Do you own a business? Then if so, you might be able to benefit substantially from a business trust. In today's video, which is sponsored by Tailor Brands, I'm going to explain why this is the case, what types of business trusts are available to choose from, and why you should consider setting one up. Without further ado, let's dive in. What is a business trust? A business trust, which is also known as a common law trust, is a legal instrument that business owners can use to delegate the authority to manage their share of their business to a third party known as a trustee. The trustee is appointed by the grantor and manages the trust on behalf of the beneficiaries. In order to create a business trust, an official declaration of trust must be made by the grantor. For a business trust to be legitimate, it must contain 4 key provisions. Number 1, the term of the trust. Number 2, the period of time the trust is valid for. Number 3, the duties and powers of all trustees. And number 4, the interest of all the beneficiaries. After the declaration of trust is complete and the trust is officially set up, the assets will be handed over to the trustee, and the trustee will have a fiduciary responsibility to carry out the terms of the trust in the interest of the beneficiaries. Now, when it comes to business trusts, trustees often handle a number of the responsibilities that can include purchasing and selling assets such as stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, and distributing profits to beneficiaries. But let's talk about the different types of business trust. In the United States, there are 3 main types of business trusts. But before I explain them, I need to talk to you about Tailor Brands. Tailor Brands is an extremely useful platform for anyone who is trying to build a business. Man, I wish I had something like this when I was creating my first business, because they're the ultimate business builder. On the Tailor Brand platform, you can get access to a wide array of assets and services that can help you get your business up and running extremely quickly. This platform has everything that you're going to need, including LLC formation services, attorney-written business documents like contracts and service agreements, and a finance manager that helps you keep track of your finances, invoices, and taxes, including licenses and permits, as well as application services and much more. You can even get help creating a logo, building a website, or getting a business mailbox. The bottom line is that Tailor Brands makes it infinitely easier to start a business because it has all of the guided tools and resources that you would need on one user-friendly platform. So if you're thinking about setting up a new LLC, then make sure you check out Tailor Brands. The company is currently offering 35% off on their LLC plans, so don't miss out on this deal. The website for the company is tailorbrands.com. I will include a link in the description below in today's video. Now let's get back to business trusts. All right, guys, so if you want to set up a business trust in the United States, you have to choose between one of the 3 options. Here is a breakdown of each of the 3 business trust types. Number 1 is a grantor trust. A grantor trust involves 3 entities: a grantor, a trustee, and a beneficiary. With this type of trust, the grantor retains control over the trust and must pay taxes on the income that comes from it. The grantor also controls over business distributions to the beneficiaries. So this type of trust is ideal if you want to maintain a lot of control over the trust and the distributions to the beneficiaries. Number 2 is what's called a simple trust. And a simple trust is a business trust that must be verified by the IRS. With a simple trust, the trustee, not the grantor, distributes business profits to the beneficiaries. However, although it has the power to distribute business profits to beneficiaries in a simple trust, the trustee is still restricted from doing things like touching principal assets or making charitable contributions. The income generated from beneficiaries is usually taxable for these types of trusts, even if withdrawals are not made. So be careful. The third and final type of business trust is the complex business trust. Complex trusts are similar to simple trusts in that the trustee manages distributions to beneficiaries. However, they are different from simple trusts in that the trustee is allowed to make charitable contributions and there are no other strict guidelines for profit allocation. But with that being said, in order to remain compliant, complex trusts must have some form of income. Now, what are the advantages of business trust? Just like personal trusts, business trusts have a number of key advantages that can make them attractive. For starters, business trusts can prevent beneficiaries from having to go through an arduous probate process. Additionally, business trusts can help beneficiaries from having to pay enormous estate taxes. And this is because technically, the business and its assets are owned by the trust, not the estate of the grantor. So, business trusts can be enormously beneficial from a tax perspective. Another crucial advantage of business trusts is that they can execute succession plans. So if a company does not have a succession plan in place, that can be a major problem when a key owner of the company dies or becomes incapacitated. If you have a business trust, on the other hand, you can use this trust to carry out your succession plan. Like LLCs, business trusts also help to separate your business assets from your personal assets, which can help to reduce the liability in the event of a lawsuit or a claim against the business. And finally, one last benefit of a business trust is that it can help to optimize privacy. For example, if you want to buy a house, but you don't want people to know that you bought the house, you can use the trust to buy the property. Then, in your state's filings, it will say that the trust bought the property and owns it as opposed to you. So, what are the disadvantages of setting up a business trust? Despite the fact that the business trust has many benefits, they do have some aspects associated with them that people would call disadvantages. For example, business trusts tend to have significant maintenance and administrative costs. They also require a significant amount of paperwork to be filed. Additionally, the IRS has specific rules for business trusts, so remaining compliant with a business trust can be slightly more complicated than it can be with a normal business like an LLC. And finally, because trustees have a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of the beneficiaries, it means that the trustee is not obligated to act in the best interest of the shareholders. So this can create some complications. For this reason, many people prefer to use their business trust when they are primarily concerned with the needs of their beneficiaries as opposed to the needs of other shareholders of the business. So, when should you set up a business trust? I get asked this all the time. Usually when people set up a business trust is not the first option that comes to mind. Most people typically begin with other business structures such as LLCs or S-Corps. However, oftentimes as business owners age, a lot of them start to wonder whether or not it might be better to have a business structure like a business trust. One of the main reasons why this is the case is because many business owners have children and they want to figure out the best ways to pass on business assets to them after they die. So it is common for business people to start to set up a business trust in the second half of their careers when they're thinking about issues such as succession and estate planning. But this doesn't mean that you have to wait this long to do it. However, it also doesn't mean that you should wait until the last years of your life either. If you wait until this period in order to set up a business trust, you could experience negative consequences. For example, if you try to set up a simple trust in the last years of your life, but if you die before the IRS verifies your trust, then it will not be legitimate and your beneficiaries will not benefit from the trust. You want to make sure that your business trust is fully operational well before you die so that there are no unexpected complications when the time comes for the trustees to start managing the trust and controlling the distributions to your beneficiaries. Here's the bottom line. For timing when it comes to setting up a business trust is that you do not necessarily have to prioritize it in the beginning of your career when you're just creating your business or LLC. You might not have to really prioritize it until you start having children that you want to pass on your business assets to. As your career progresses and as your business grows, it can become increasingly important for you to set up your business trust if this is the route you're trying to go. Many people choose to set up a business trust in their 40s and 50s, and this could be a good time. Just try not to wait until your 60s or 70s if possible. You should also speak with an attorney who specializes in trust or a tax professional that can guide you to an attorney who specializes in business trusts. Now, I get asked this all the time as well. Can you put your LLC inside of a business trust? Some people worry that because they already have an LLC that they will not be able to set up a business trust. That's not true. In fact, you can merge an LLC into a business trust. So if you would like to convert an LLC into a business trust, or if you would like a business trust to own shares of ownership of an LLC, then in this case, you can do so. Many business owners go with this option because frequently they don't realize that they want a business trust until many years after they've already formed their LLC. So for example, some business owners might run an LLC for 10 years before setting up a business trust. Some might run an LLC for 20 or even 30 years before they convert. So how much does it cost to set up a business trust? Most people seek the assistance of a trust lawyer when they set up a business trust. These attorneys frequently charge around $500 an hour. So usually it takes at least a few $1,000s to set up a business trust. But if the trust is not complicated and it's not going to take a lot of time for the attorney to complete, then you can expect the cost to be around $5,000 to $6,000 on the lower end. However, if the trust is complicated, then you can expect that cost to be more around $10,000 to $12,000. What are the steps to take before you set up a business trust? Before setting up your trust, you should make sure you have a full understanding of who you want your beneficiaries to be. Many people choose their children. However, your beneficiaries do not necessarily have to be your children. They could be your spouse, your nieces, and your nephews, your cousins, your friends, and many more. You should also decide whether or not you want to retain control over the trust and its key responsibilities, such as paying taxes and distributing income to beneficiaries. The reason why you need to make the decision is because it will heavily impact the type of trust that you will end up getting. For example, if you would like to maintain control, then you will be better off with a grantor trust. However, if you are comfortable giving up control of the key responsibilities of the trust to the trustee, then a simple or a complex trust will be better options for you. One final thing that you should strongly consider doing before setting up a trust is deciding the period of time that you would like your trust to remain active. Many people choose to have their business trust remain active right up until the day they die. However, this is not always the best option. If you are unsure of how long you should keep your trust operational for, then you can speak with a trust attorney about this as well. What happens if creditors try to seize assets in the trust after the grantor dies? Oftentimes when people die, they have various debts that they still owe, or perhaps an ex-spouse might hire a lawyer and try to claim that they have a right to the various assets. The good news is that if the business owner's business assets are inside of the trust, then they have a significantly more protection from seizure from creditors. The reason is because once they are in the trust, they are not considered to be a part of the person's estate anymore. They are considered to be a part of the trust. So, setting up a business trust can go a long way towards protecting assets from seizures by creditors as well. There is, however, some variations from state to state regarding the laws that pertain to asset recovery from creditors. Now, why is avoiding the probate process beneficial? As I mentioned earlier in the video, having a business trust can help your beneficiaries avoid the probate process. If you're unfamiliar with probate, it is the legal process of transferring property and ownership after a person dies. During the probate process, the person's financial records become financially available. The entire process can take 6, sometimes 8 months, or up to an entire year. So your beneficiaries could have to wait quite a long time to get access to your assets. Additionally, during a standard probate process, the creditors of the descendant, meaning the people who the person owed money to, will get first access to your assets in order to make sure that the descendant's debts are fully paid off before the rest of the assets are distributed. Also, all of the attorney fees, the publication fees, and the filing fees have to be paid for by the descendant. So, in short, probate is time-consuming, it's expensive, it's tedious, and very public. So for all of these reasons, many people prefer to avoid it entirely if it is possible to do so. Many people find that using business trust to avoid the probate process for their business assets is a much better option for them than going through the probate process. You see, the probate process can be extremely difficult considering that most people who are still grieving the losses of their loved ones while they're going through it are suffering. So by having a business trust in place, you can help your family members and beneficiaries to avoid having to go through the stress of losing you and having to fight for your business assets at the exact same time. Now, what do you think of business trusts? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I know it's not a popular entity that I talk about often, but it could be something that could benefit you. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to take the opportunity to check out Tailor Brands to start and manage and grow your business by leveraging the link below in this video. Okay, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with at least one person who you think can benefit from this information. I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers.